Hello. Thank you for joining me in this now moment. Um, I'm out here in nature, actually next to a little creek by my house. We got some woods back here. So I thought I would come out here and kind of deliver a different aspect of myself that doesn't necessarily have the ability to come through in a loud environment, if you will. And not that, like, when I say loud, right? Think about this, and maybe you aren't aware of this, and this is just a little snippet before the video. But if you have your TV on and your Wi-Fi on, and then maybe it's cold, so you got a heater on, or you got the heat on, or maybe it's hot outside, so you got the AC on, but your Wi-Fi is on all the time. Maybe you aren't aware of the static that creates in your mind and in your reality, and so we wonder why we feel so disconnected. And oftentimes it's because we're not getting out into nature. We're not actually getting out into our birthplace. Like the reason why we're alive is because Mother Earth has the ability to sustain herself in such a way that we can thrive on Earth. So that's just a little sidetrack. This video is primarily about how to transcend fear. And I'm going to take my hat off for this. um, there you go. All right. So let's talk about fear. What are we afraid of in life, right? I know right now times are telling in such a way that, like, there's a lot of things that could happen. There's a lot of potential for things to happen. And we may be finding ourselves in these situations that don't necessarily align with us anymore, or that are no longer serving us. You know what I mean? And as we awaken to the truth of what's going on, we may become afraid of doing what's right for us internally, because as a child we may have been taught that we don't know what's actually good for us, so we have to be told what to do, or like what to say, or how to act or behave, because we don't know what we're doing. And I don't want to speak for you specifically, whoever's watching this, right? But from what I have been through, my own experience, and it, like, no fault of my mom or like my grandma or my granny, like, they were doing what they thought was best, right? But they were teaching me as a child that I didn't know what was best for myself, even though I could read energy and I knew who was not that they were bad people, right? But like, I knew who was best to be around and who wasn't best to be around. And I feel like a lot of parents tell their children that they don't know what's good for them, because they're the parent. And so it further creates this idea of separation between not only ourselves as humans, but ourselves with Earth. Like, think about it. Like, if you look behind me, well, I don't know if you can really, they're not all the same tree. Like, my butt's getting wet. I'm sitting in this little area, but I see a bunch of different types of trees. They're all trees, but they're different types of trees. And that's kind of how humans are. Like, we're all human, we just might be a slightly different type of human. And I only mean that in the sense of, like, our expression of how we express ourselves is indicative of where we are internally with our energy. And so ultimately on Earth, like, don't we all want to be able to express ourselves freely and authentically? So, like, if I get upset because of what someone else says, that's me allowing fear to rule my life. Like, that's literally, like, what I've come to find is, like, fear drives the bus 90% of the time. And fear is just the distortion of love, because you don't think that you can achieve it, or you think that something bad's gonna happen, or just a bunch of different things, right? In one of the first YouTube videos I ever made, and I'm actually gonna link it to this, because this is a completely like, and I encourage you to go watch that video just to see how people transform. Everything that I spoke about in that video has gotten me to where I am now, but my idea of fear and how to traverse it really is different, slightly different, because ultimately the only way to traverse fear is to actually realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. But we have like this, and I don't know what it is about humans, right? But humans have this ingrained fear of death, and just doing the wrong thing, failing. My hips are a little tight. I gotta do some more yoga. But with fear of failing, or fear of not doing the right thing, and so you end up creating these toxic negative patterns that, like, they've helped you to a certain point, but now they no longer serve. But because you're afraid to do anything different, you just keep doing the same thing. So the only way to really overcome fear is to just realize there's nothing to be afraid of, because you are the only thing keeping you from doing whatever it is that you seek. Like, yeah, it might take time, and it might take a little bit of effort, and maybe, you got to change some things about yourself and how you perceive the world, but there's nothing to be afraid of, because that's all within, like, the realm of your control. Like, how you feel about what you're experiencing is within your control, because it's how you're perceiving what you're experiencing. And I just really wanted to share that with everyone, is like, I lived a lot of my life afraid, but not at the same time. It was really weird. Like, I joined the military at 19, just because, well, honestly, I joined the military for a couple of different reasons. I was running from my problems while simultaneously running into fixing, not even fixing, but realizing who I was, right? So it's just recognizing that when we get caught up in fears, because maybe, just maybe, like, that's exactly what we need to be doing. If we're afraid of it, maybe that is exactly what we need to do. And as a human race, if we can learn to let go of the old ways of being, and we can step into new ways of being, and for each person that's going to be different. Not every person is going to live the same way. And I think that's a beautiful message of, like, transcend your fear by living your life. Stop worrying about what other people are doing, and turn off the TV. Like, you really want to get rid of fear? Turn off the TV. Let go of this idea that you have to, be a certain way. Like, there's so many other ways of being. Like, I've done some research on people, and there are people in different places that live off of the air, like, I think they may drink water, but they don't eat any food, if I'm not mistaken. Like, their food is prana, right? So what you believe to be true is what's true for you. And there's so many truths out there that if I try to change or judge someone else for how they're living, then I'm just trying to change and judge a part of me that that isn't ready or doesn't want to, right? There's a bunch of different, like, I don't know, a bunch of different things coming through. I just wanted to share that with you guys, though. Just don't be afraid. Just jump out. Jump out there. Don't be afraid. Thank you for joining me. If you're interested in supporting any of this content or connecting with the community further, you can support the Patreon, the Souljah Temple. It'll be linked in the description below. If you're interested in connecting with other communities like this as well, there's a Paradigm Shift Central, and they have a slew of different communities and stuff that's all kind of like in that central area. So if you're interested in that, the link to that stuff will be down below as well. Stay tuned. Got some stuff in the work, and I'm just really excited to be alive and just have this life to share, not only with myself but with everyone else too. So infinite love, infinite light, infinite balance, and infinite movement, my friends. Namaste.